Hi, welcome to Real People. I'm Stephanie Allensworth. My guest today is Becky Amble, the founder and president of Future Focus. Welcome to the show, Becky.
Well, nice to be here with you. Thank you.
Well, glad to have you. And now we're going to learn all about what you do. You are a VP of Marketing, Product Management, Strategy, Chief Marketing Officer, Philanthropist. Boy, you've got quite the intro. And you also are working with AI, which I am a bit fascinated about. So let's just dig right into it. Tell us about what you're currently doing.
Well, for a number of years, my expertise has been in growing businesses, and primarily in the B2B space. And so a couple years ago, I got introduced to AI. And I just want to fess up because there's a lot of people that are thinking about AI and they don't want to do it. They're scared of it, everything. My first exposure to it was from my colleague in Scotland. And he said, hey, I got to tell everybody about this. And my thought was, great. One more thing I need to learn? Please go away. Well, the following week he did a demo, which was different, and showed how ChatGPT worked. And that very day, I was so impressed and excited that I set up my ChatGPT account and started using it that very night. So now what I do in my work is work with businesses on growth strategies, usually. Sometimes they just want to really look at AI, and we can do that too. And when we're working on growth strategies, now we've incorporated using AI where it can be effective and help us do things better, faster, and cheaper.
Oh, nice. Now, I set up GPT. GPI.
I want to call it GPS.
So. But I did that too because I was reading something and said, oh, go to this site and look it up. And so I'm like, hey. So yeah. And I was not a fan, AI kind of worried me. It's like artificial intelligence are two words that don't seem like they should go together.
Exactly.
So how do you actually go about introducing AI to what you're doing with your clients?
Well, one of the things that we do is we have a complimentary call that we do with potential clients just to find out what's going on, and we talk to them. And even in that 30 minutes, we usually give them ideas that they can use. So we want them to have value out of our free conversation. And then if it looks like something that they are interested in pursuing and we feel it's something that may fit our areas of expertise, we will recommend doing an assessment. And the assessment is a paid assessment generally, and it's 2 to 4 hours. It can take up to 2 days if it's a larger organization. And we evaluate 400 different variables. So we're pretty thorough. Now we can scale that back if the company says, well, we just want to really focus on our customer service or something. And generally we need to just know more before we can make any suggestions.
Right. Just kind of get their method of operation down and see where there's room for improvement.
Right.
In every area.
Exactly. And a lot of times we ask them, what are some areas that you really don't like dealing with yourself and don't have anybody on your team that can do? Well, maybe that's something that AI can do for you. And are there some repetitive tasks that are taking your time or somebody on your team's time? Well, that can often be automated. So we start with what's going on and where are your frustrations?
Oh, wow, okay. So just the question that just popped into my head now, is AI taking the place of a person? Like taking a person's job?
That's an excellent question. A lot of people worry about that, and most of the time I would say no. Now there are certain things that are maybe lower skilled kinds of activities that AI can do. You might have somebody doing that. However, think about if that person is doing maybe some lower skilled activities, what else could they do if they had the time? And can you upskill them or train them? And can they get more job satisfaction because they're not dealing with the mundane?
That word was just in my head.
Yeah,
the mundane, like database building.
Yeah, tell me about it. And the other thing is it's being used a lot in customer service, and the research shows that the customer service agents are enjoying their jobs more. And you know, customer service can be a tough tough job to have. They are enjoying their jobs because they're getting rid of the routine work that is so frustrating, and then they can deal with more challenging, higher level issues, which most of us like doing things that are more interesting.
Right.
And they've even been able to use AI to summarize their day, their reports, and do things like that, because again, most of us aren't keen on doing paperwork.
No, definitely not. I know I'm not, but you know, I was a customer success manager for, well, the last 3 years of my employment, you know, before I
Well, then you know it well.
retired, I guess. And but being a customer success manager was different. It's not, you know, it's getting trouble calls, but you're also being the liaison between the company and the customer.
Right.
And you're there to be that customer advocate and not defend the company, if you will. So it's
Well,
very
yeah.
customer centric.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe AI could do something like that as well, you know, just take care of like the onboarding process and things like that.
Yes.
You know, Salesforce types of things that
Absolutely.
can get screwed up pretty fast.
Yes. No, those are all really good points. And you, as the success manager, you had to manage the team. So, of course, you also want to make sure that they're able to do their job and that they're happy in it. There's so many applications. In fact, the other day I was working with a group and we were talking about sales and objections that people get in sales. So as a group, we were all kind of role playing, and then a few of us typed up our little thing, and I put something in ChatGPT, somebody used Gemini, and then we were comparing and going, well, which answer do you like better?
Were they similar answers?
Similar, and yet we kind of like Gemini, which I would never have said that's the Google product.
Oh.
And I'm a big fan of ChatGPT and Claude. Those are my two favorite ones. And you know, when you have something that you use and you get in the routine, you kind of stick with them.
Yeah.
And so I don't do that much with Gemini, and yet I'm like, I think I got to try that a little bit more often.
Yeah, maybe you have to test the waters on all of these to see if, you know, for me, the interesting thing would be to see if AI actually starts to create kind of almost the same answer for everything, you know, after a certain amount of time when you're getting the same data over and over and over again. Can it end up being just vanilla?
Oh gosh, it's funny that you mentioned that. When I was working my first book and researching it, I used 5 different artificial intelligence. No, it's one that I actually don't have an extra copy of. They're all gone. But all my books are on Amazon, so people can go to Amazon because I usually give them away when I'm at speaking engagements.
We'll talk about them in a few minutes.
And so I had 5 different AIs that I was using, and I then had 500 pages. My book ended up, I think, being about 150 because I put in illustrations and worked kind of summarization tables, worksheets a little bit to make it, I thought, more useful. Anyway, so I started out with a lot of information, 500 pages, and there are things where now I have read so much AI-generated information that one of the terms is, when you embark on this journey, I'm starting to talk like that because I've seen it so many times. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, now I'm starting to do AI speak.
You're talking like the computer.
But there's another thing that a lot of people use, artificial intelligence, whichever format they're using, to help them generate letters, emails, and that kind of thing. And the dead giveaway is it starts out with, hope this finds you well. And you go, nobody talks like, you know, or puts that in a letter or an email, so you know for sure that's a dead giveaway. And there are certain phrases that just are more typical in AI.
Right, hope this finds you well. It's like,
And you're going, no, you might just say,
unfortunately,
hey.
though, the bad news is, I hope this finds you well.
Yeah. I mean, if it's somebody you know, you probably say, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
But
So since you mentioned your books, let's go into a little of that and what you're doing. Is it like a side hustle that you're doing, or what are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh, well, everything I do is my full-time occupation and beyond full-time. The first thing that I did is I started one journal because I was working with a group of people in a small group setting online, and we were all working together on how to help them create their strategic marketing or their strategic business plan. And I would give them assignments, and then we would work on, I would give them time to work. Well, pretty much everyone in the group said that they had all these ideas and they wanted to get their ideas organized and have it put together in the plan so they could actually do something. And one of the things that's real common if you do any online workshops or online groups is a lot of times you give people a welcome gift. And I thought, well, I could send them all my target market worksheet. That'd probably excite them. And I thought, how about my differentiation worksheet? Yeah, they'll be really thrilled to get that. Then the idea came to me that, well, how about a journal so they can keep track of their great ideas? And that's
Since that's what they were saying they needed, right? So you
I
create
did
the
that.
solution.
And so the first journal was basically for anybody, and it's the turquoise one up here, and I did that 2 years ago. Well, then I would have people go, well, can you do one for women? Okay, so I did that, and then the Surgeon General came out and said, we have a crisis, mental health crisis in our youth, which concerned me a lot because I've got my 2 sons that have a number of mental health issues, and I thought, I've lived with this. So I came up with a journal for youth. Well, then one of my clients out of Florida said, can you do one for graduates? And I'm pretty fast worker on certain things, and something like collecting quotes, because each journal has unique quotes specifically for that audience, and they're each divided into 5 sections. Each section has artwork, and the artwork in each one is unique, so I had to just probably overdo the whole thing and make them real unique in their own world, and that's how I've got 4 of them. So I did 3 last year. And then when I was embarking on the AI journey, I thought, well, how about a book on AI? Because
I was going to say, did AI help you with any of those?
well, yeah.
Looking for the quotes and such?
Yeah, because especially on the one for youth, I went to my favorite, ChatGPT, and I worked up a prompt, and that's the directions that you give the AI, the artificial intelligence. And so I said, I want quotes from famous people, sports, athletes, musicians, writers, somebody that's known, that's under 40 years of age, and that has not had negative publicity.
Good luck finding that.
And I got them.
You got them.
And then I would pick and choose which ones I wanted and that kind of thing. And so each time I did a different book, I would go and usually used AI. Not always. Sometimes it would be a Google search and pasting a bunch of documents together and that kind of thing. But yeah, I would use AI to help me with that. And like I said, when I did my first ChatGPT book, it was for women, and that started out with 500 pages from 5 different AI sources. And then I did the book of Mastering ChatGPT for Adults Over 50, because I think there's some unique questions and concerns different audiences have. So that's partly why I did that. Plus, of course, in my world, that's part of target marketing. So hopefully I practice what I preach.
Yeah. Well, and that maybe takes some of the fear away from?
Well, hopefully. Unfortunately, I even am cautious saying this, I think women, a lot of times, we talk ourselves down. And they have that old saying where they say, if a guy applied for a job and he had 5 of the criteria, the guy's like, I'm in, sign me up, let me get an interview. And yet if it was a woman and she had 9 out of 10, she thinks, oh, I'm just not qualified. And so I thought, I don't want to have women not using this tool and being successful because they're using this tool. I don't want women to think, oh, it's tech, I don't do tech. I mean, we all have certain biases in our mind and perceptions and things that hold us back. So that was one reason I did the women's one. And then the over 50, I was actually inspired by my oldest brother, who's in his 80s. And he was still selling real estate and still writing an article every month for a journal. And he's all over his phone. And I thought, he can be all over his phone. He does way more on his phone than I do, because I'm a computer person. And I thought, I want one for people over 50, because I don't want them also feeling like they're going to be left out and can't participate, because it's not an age thing. And you can get started pretty easily.
Well, that is really interesting. What are some of the other books you've done?
Well, then on
what are the ones specifically for women?
It's called Mastering ChatGPT for Women, and I don't have any more of those in my...
that's the only one that's specific to women.
In my inventory. And then with that one, because I do kind of overkill too many things, I came up with about 70 pages of cheat sheets that I put in the back of that book in the appendix. And I thought, nobody's going to go look at 45 cheat sheets in an appendix. So I just thought, get that out of the book. That's going to be stupid. Well, then after a few months, I thought, oh, but that could be its own thing.
No.
And so that's why I did the one on cheat sheets. And what's kind of fun for me is
you created your own book from something you thought was just thrown
that
away.
I was going to put in the garbage. Well, I did at least save it on my computer. And what was fun is I just talked with a client the other day, and she said, "Oh, I've got Post-it notes. I've got tabs all over that book." And I'm going, "Really?" Because if you sell books, you don't usually hear much feedback.
Yeah.
Your book is sold, and you go, "Well, I hope somebody's using it." And then what I did do, though, with using artificial intelligence, I volunteer. I'm on the board, or I was. I'm now finished my term for a group called the Eagle Group of Minnesota Veterans, and we're all about helping veterans in transition get jobs. So I was speaking to them, and I was going to tell them all about AI and using it for their job search, and I decided I wanted to redo one of my books and give it to veterans. So there I did use my AI. I said, okay, the first book I wrote was for women. It's really comprehensive. I wrote it. I had to tweak it, put in my words and all that. So I went to artificial intelligence and I said, rewrite this, because I figure it's my book, rewrite this and use language for military veterans. And it did. It took a long time, and then I learned how to be more efficient. So then I took the same concept and I said, now rewrite it for busy professionals, because when I speak, if I have the book for women or the one for people over 50, I'm thinking, I don't have anything for the rest of the world, because there's a lot of men in the audience.
Right.
Now they could get my cheat sheet book, but now hopefully my designer will be able to get the one out for busy professionals.
And now it's a book specifically. Is it complete for the veterans?
Yeah, well, I didn't quite finish it up. I had 50 hours into it, and then I was doing my presentation. So I said, I'm stopping with this. It's got most everything in it that the other books do.
But it's interesting how you got smarter using AI as you went through the process, right?
Right.
So first it's like a big broad application, then okay, let's narrow it down, let's narrow it down, let's narrow it down, until you get to something that's more comprehensive.
Yeah, and that's the thing, we call it prompt engineering, is you want to be really specific, you want to be really clear, you want to give it context. There's a few steps and a few pieces that you want to include. And the other thing I just want to tell you, because this is, I think, kind of fascinating, because I geek out. And so I redid the book for veterans. Took me 50 hours, but I was also trying to do the design work, because I wasn't going to have it published and spend money on a designer. And that's what took a lot of time. Well, then I went and I said, okay, I want to do the same concept, but I'm going to do this for busy professionals. 2 hours to redo the book.
Wow.
Now, I have spent time trying to put it in better format so I can send it to my designer. But to get the content, because I learned there was a better way to have my AI working for me.
Yeah. So it went from being specific to veterans to now just busy professionals. Am I right there?
Yeah, well, see, I took...
So are you going to have the two versions?
Yeah. And the one for veterans, I just give it to them. I just have it as a PDF, and I'm like, anybody that's a veteran, they can have it. Just let me know, and I'll send it to you.
Do you have it on your website where you can say, here, if you
No, actually,
just download it here?
I don't. That's a good point. And I haven't updated. My website needs to be updated, and I have people that are supposed to do that, but I'm in queue. So we haven't gotten to that yet. But the other one, I went back to my original book of ChatGPT for Women, because that's kind of got everything in it. And then when I redid it for the busy professional, I just had it put men and women names on the case studies and the examples. I said, switch that around, do that. And again, because I geek out, I just thought it was hilarious where some of the names that it used were names like Lindsay. That could be a male or female.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang it, you are smart.
Okay, I got that. That's funny. Like I just said, I met somebody named Tracy, but I wasn't sure if it was a man or a woman. So
Yes.
I'm like, are you Tracy? It's like, no, I work for her.
And Dawn, D-A-W-N or D-O-N, that kind of stuff. And I just thought, oh, dang, that is so fun.
You really know how that Chat GPT really knows how to make it vanilla.
That was actually Claude, but same difference.
That darn Claude. Well, that's just really fascinating. I mean, you obviously do geek out. Like, I am not afraid of tech at all. I've never have been, and it's very strange. I'm equally artistic as I am. Like I'm left-handed, so I'm kind of ambidextrous.
Yes.
And can do a lot of things that the righties can't do.
Well, I think I fall in that camp a little bit too. I've done a lot of art, and in fact, the cover of this book is one of my photographs.
Oh.
And the content in
that's lovely that you can make that so personal that you took that photograph.
Well, and it's like, the artwork in my journals, in the youth, the graduate, and the original one is artwork by my son, my oldest son, and then the one for women is my artwork. And it's kind of where you go, well, okay. And when we did this original book, Love from Grandma, that is a chair I inherited from my mom, and everything had to be owned by a grandma, but then a former client of mine was a photographer, so I got this all together and they came and did the photography. So
that's really cool though, Love from Grandma. You want to tell us a little bit about that one?
Well, I often ask people, what do you think I got for my response in my survey? Because that was the first thing, is I sent letters out to 180 people and said, if you're a grandma or if you know a grandma, here's the advice I need. There was a legal sign off, all this kind of stuff. So out of 180, I'll just ask you, because you're a smart business person, how many responses do you suppose I got out of 180 that I mailed?
Well, the rule is 1/4 or 1/3.
I got 181.
So somebody actually
I got
gave
more.
it to somebody else.
I got more than I
So
sent.
the 1/3 rule didn't work there. Well, that's awesome though.
Yeah,
Good
totally
for you.
mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? There's a reason this book is supposed to be done, and I'm just the conduit.
Yeah.
And so it was really, really fun. I published it myself, and between Thanksgiving a week late, Thanksgiving it got delivered late, Thanksgiving and New Year's my goal was to sell 2,000, sold 2,500, had a very precise marketing plan together. I had telemarketing, I had flyers, stuff nobody really usually does on a book launch. Got that done, and then I had publishers that thought, oh, well, if you, who's not a book expert, can do that, maybe we could do something. So I had 3 different publishers take it up over the years, and we've sold about 200,000 copies.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Now I'm officially jealous, because I've written 2 children's books.
Oh.
And I can't get them to go anywhere.
Oh, well, then we need to talk.
Yes, the only people that call me are the ones that want to redo my book and have me pay for it. So I'm like, not again, you know?
You don't need those phone calls.
No, I get tired of them. It's like, no, not again. No. You're not serious. And I went out of pocket and paid a lot of people, publicity people and marketing people and people that I thought would get me in to do signings and also readings. Like one of my girlfriends got me into her school. She had I think they were a 3rd grade class where I brought my 2 books in and read them to her class. So that was fun. But but I didn't get a lot of that. I mean, people love my books, but I don't have a ton of money to put out there to keep paying people to not do anything, because
it is expensive.
I was going broke, not getting anywhere, no traction whatsoever. So.
Yeah. Now I haven't done that much on the rest of my books. I mean, I put them on Amazon, and all but this last one have hit bestsellers. This one I think we're going to relaunch for a specific time frame and do that kind of thing. And so Amazon,
for connecting me with her.
Amazon, you have to do things a certain way.
I'm on Amazon.
And if your goal is to get bestseller, that's one thing. It doesn't necessarily mean you sell a ton of books, and that's what people don't understand. So I mean, part of it is the credibility building, and you get some support from Amazon if you can get your numbers up, and supposedly they might feature it. You never know what Amazon's going to do.
Yeah, and I've had people that say, oh, your book is selling over here and blah, blah, blah. And I look and it's like, basically, it's just listed amongst ones that they could, resell.
Oh, well, that's not doing you much.
I know. It's like, maybe that works for somebody that's not as maybe savvy as me, but it's not working for me.
Yeah, you're not buying that.
No. I'm like, it's always so disappointing. But yeah, gosh, we should talk about that. You know, not here, you know, because obviously this is about you, not me. So.
Well, I know someone that you're going to be talking to that is one of our clients that we're helping in the book business.
I know that.
Yeah.
Is she sitting right over there?
Yeah.
Very good.
And I mean, I've done enough, so I know a lot of things that are important. Yet that, like I said, doesn't mean you're going to get a ton of sales.
No.
Because it's just a game. In essence, it's a game.
Yeah. Well, I would love 2,500 of at least one of them.
Well, that one you might have to really gear up like I did.
Yeah.
But I did tons of book signings, and I also had gear that I wore for the book signings. I always wore a hat, and I wore something usually glittery.
Oh, to be like Grandma?
Yeah. Well, just because I wanted to be like it was a special event.
Oh, sure.
Because it was for me. And tons of media coverage. We were in lots of newspapers, but again, I had people on staff that I didn't pay a whole pile because I mean, I know how to do my own PR, even though that's not my profession. And so I could give them directions, and we contacted lots of small town newspapers, got written up, got interviewed, did radio shows, all that kind of thing. And like I said, I had a brochure, I had a postcard that went out, and then the brochure went out, and then I had somebody doing telemarketing. So I had a very integrated process to sell my books, and we accomplished that.
And, you know, you know, I bought the whole package. You know, I self-published, but I bought the whole package. So it's, but I couldn't afford to do that again. My second book, I published through Amazon, I think, and then I hired a local artist to do it because it's a children's book. So it's heavy in the cartoons and the pictures and stuff.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you about them offline. So,
yeah, I'd love to see them.
Yeah. Well, we've got a minute and a half left, and that actually is more time than it sounds. But why don't you give us a little more information about how people can contact you if they would love your services, or at least start a conversation? Yeah,
we'd love to talk to people about helping them grow their business and also how to use AI to do that. Or if they're just stuck going, what the heck is AI? Where do I start? Because
here's a book.
You know, it's interesting. There's statistics that say that you can grow your business 37% faster if you use AI, and that over half of the businesses out there are using AI, trying to use AI, but only 2% are using it the way they need to. And I tell people when I'm speaking, I say, so if you're not doing anything or not doing much, you're perfect. You're right where the norm is, because most people still haven't figured out what to do. And so if people want to reach me, they can go to an email at Becky Future AI, all clumped together, at Gmail. And my website, which again needs to be updated, is www.futurefocususa.com.
And we'll have that on screen too.
And I'm on LinkedIn. I think you probably have that information.
Yep,
I'm on LinkedIn probably more than anything.
Yeah. Well, so people know how to find you now.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I think
We got
just
9 seconds.
9 seconds. Reach out to me or somebody, or get a book or get a class so that you can get started with AI, because it's not that hard and it doesn't have to be a roadblock.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to sign us out now. Thanks for keeping it real here with us. And Becky Amble, look her up if you're in the business and want to learn about some AI and have some good strategy behind your marketing. Thanks now. Have a good one.